Hello everyone, and welcome to Linux Forensics here at Pentester Academy. In this video, we're going to continue to look at our second subject, the pas2 subject, and in particular, we are going to look at the user's bash histories. Now recall from some previous videos that you will store your history in a history file that's normally in your home directory, and this can be changed. You can change how many commands are stored in this file. You can even make it store nothing at all. Some users, in particular the root user, normally doesn't have a history file for security reasons. So getting this information out of memory can be very helpful in reconstructing the history in some cases. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to use our alias. And again, remember that I've set up this alias here in my bash RC file that allows me to more easily run these commands. So the command that I want to start with is called Linux bash, and we'll pipe this to more. Alright, so here we see a couple of things. So we have a shell with process ID 7682, and we can see that this user had a look at their bash RC file, and they also changed to the temp directory and did a wget for our rootkit. They then changed to the MySQL user. So we might want to make a note of that. This was originally downloaded into the temp, and it was the user who was logged in into process 7682 that did this. So we can see here in this process they changed to this user local MySQL directory, which we already know has some bad stuff in it. It's a home directory for this bogus user. And then they ran weevily py, which is a Python script, generate hacked. And what this does is it creates a weevily backdoor, and we'll talk more about that in some future videos. They then created a weevily PHP file, which they copied to var www HTML as index3 PHP. So that's something else we probably want to take a note of, is that weevily has now been installed with the password of hacked, and it's called index3 PHP. They then did an ls, and it looks like they did a wget. It's a little bit curious why they would have done that. And what is quite possibly the case is that because these things occurred within the same second, this obviously doesn't make sense. Why would someone run wget after they had in fact downloaded? But at any rate, what you can see is that this person ran this weevily backdoor, generated a new file with the password of hacked embedded inside of it. Let's see what else they did. Here they extracted it, and we can see that they moved some things from home MySQL to user local MySQL. They also ran the last B command, so they were trying to find failed logins. They ran the last command, and it looks like they've downloaded the RockU password list. So they've been very busy. What other kinds of things did they do? It looks like they've installed Hydra, an online password cracker. They ran an Nmap on a computer in the system. They copied this RockU list to user local MySQL. They checked the home directories, and it looks like here, once again, we have this wget command. So there's a little bit of strangeness here. I don't think they would have downloaded it more than one. Here they're doing an Nmap on the whole network, and we see that they copied the password file. They also apparently changed the mode of the shadow file and then copied it. They ran Hydra against the user Sue with the RockU list against FTP on the local host. Now, this is smart for a couple of reasons. Normally, why would you do online password cracking? You wouldn't. You would try to avoid it. However, the fact that they're on the machine and they can access FTP through the local host is most likely not monitored by any kind of intrusion detection system. So they're essentially going in through the back door, and it's also going to be much faster than it normally would be. So here they're attempting to crack the Sue user's password. We'll have to investigate whether or not they were successful. And it looks like here they're copying the Xingxi Quan files, as we can see there. And what else have they been up to? They make a directory, a hidden directory called .hacked. So we need, again, I would make a note of that. It's probably under user local MySQL. Maybe not. We can always search for that. What else have they done? They extracted Xingxi Quan. They unzipped the RockU list. Looks like they've installed a few things. They've run a uname, -a command, etc. All right, so here we can see in shell 920, a lot of these things are going on. Now, recall that shell 920, rather shell 9210, is in fact a subprocess of the Xingxi bind shell process. So this makes some sense as to why some of these things are repeated here. And that's pretty much what we find from the bash histories. Now, we can rerun the pas2 command. It's essentially a customized version of this for bash. So I can run Linux bash env for process 8021, and that will tell me a little bit more about this process, who was running it, etc. And surprise, surprise, MySQL was the user, started out in the John user's home directory. Looks like they were SSHing in from this machine, etc. I can do something similar with the other shell. I'm not going to bother, though, because we've seen that it's all been duplicated because of how this was run. I could run my bash hash as well, and here you can see what was run a few times. Notice that the user ran ls quite a bit, unzipped a few things, etc. So this picture is getting more and more clear as we go through it. We see just a little bit more, just a little bit more. So in this video, we've seen there was another backdoor installed. We've seen a hidden directory that was created. And we even have the password for this backdoor. Well, that's all for this video. As always, if you're enjoying these videos here at Pen Tester Academy, please tell a friend. We'll see you soon.